like to call the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors meeting into session. Let us stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You'll be seated. Drop my glasses. Okay, we're going to continue our budget session. And the first one, let's see, is Sheriff Office and Jail, Sheriff McCraney.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, the members of the board, thank you. Good evening. I'd like to first start off with the stats that we had for 2023. I always like to share those so the members of the board can take a look. And I wanted to add that we had one homicide last year, which our detectives solved that and made an arrest very quickly. So obviously everything is up a little bit. Our calls are almost at 13,000. So our men and women are very busy. So I'll go ahead and start with Sheriff's Office account 31,200 and line item 1,100. And members of the board, I just wanted to let you know that the county administrator and I have spoken, so I know a little bit about the pay raise proposal. So I'm going to take a lot of that off and just kind of go through that. The proposal for dispatchers, that has been tabled, so we're just going to hold off onto that maybe next year to the General Assembly. No, I am asking the starting pay for a deputy to be raised at least a minimum of $50,000. I know that North Lumberland is pressing for that as well. I know I put 51, but anywhere from that or in between would be great. I'm asking for starting pay for dispatchers to be raised at minimum of $38,000. After I turned in the budget, I found out that Middlesex has their dispatchers starting at $40,000. And I'd like to be very competitive with them. So if we do raise the deputy and dispatcher pay, I would like to have $45,000 for compression pay. We're going to have to bring some of our men and women up to that minimum and a little over. And those who are close to that, who've been here a while, I'd like to raise them up as well. I know that I asked for a pay step increase, but again, I'm going to take that off the table because if the pay raise does come through on the high end, I'd just assume table that. Do you have any questions? And I'll just go to the next step. Line item 1,200 overtime. Our staff is working overtime frequently, and it is a result of being called out off duty, shift extensions. And it is not uncommon at all for the staff to work over the regular shift. Mental health is a big problem. As Lieutenant Haywood can tell you, our men and women are at the hospital quite a bit, sitting with a mental health patient, waiting for a bed to come available anywhere in the state, and then we have to transport them there. That takes up a lot of time. Line item 1,300, our part-time. We have been shorthanded in the patrol division for about 17 months now. We have one deputy who is on Coast Guard duty. We've hired one, but he is in the academy at the moment, so we have had to use part-time to help us fill the holes on the schedule. I don't think we're going to be fully staffed until later this summer, so I'm asking for a small increase. Line item 5230, telecommunications. Our phone bills are going up, as is everything else, so I'm asking for a small increase. Line item 5540, which is conferences and education. We have had to send several of our staff to the academy, and this includes law enforcement basic, jail basic, communications basic, and we've had to send staff to training seminars and conferences such as the forensics conference in Virginia Beach. Those costs have gone way up. The hotel rooms, the conference itself, so I'm asking for an increase in that. Line item 5699, our academy dues have gone up to $26,130. Last year, the Community Services Board, CSB, failed to provide an invoice, so if they don't send anything, it's one of those things that I can't keep at the forefront of my mind. They admitted that they were at fault. The dues for CSB per year is $10,000. I went to the county administrator and told him that, and I left it to the board whether they wanted to pay it or not. And I told the head honcho of CSB that is completely out of my hands, but they did admit fault. Line item 6010, which is police supplies. The cost of ammunition has gone way up, and we purchased quite a bit of ammo last year, and many times we have to purchase it in large bulk because of the lack of availability. We also have purchased holsters and other high-priced equipment items, and as everything just keeps going up and up and up and up, and I wish I could control it. Line item 8203, and I'm sorry, I kind of got out of order, and I'll go back to 6014. That is communications equipment, and the video calling, texting went up 3% to $87.55. And text 911 is a one-time fee of $59.50. And 911 mapping is $89.64. And we need to upgrade 5 headsets for the dispatch, which are $500 a piece. Or, excuse, I think it's $100 a piece. Line item 6014. Our scheduling program is over 20 years old. The company is out of business, and it had to be updated. The cost for that was $7,200, and with a yearly fee of $57.60. And the company is called Time Clock Plus. I think it's working fairly well, and we were running into some issues with our patrol division of trying to get the schedule straight. We were having to write it by hand, which was very timely. Line item 8205, vehicles. Cost of vehicles have gone up $10,000 in the last 4 years. So I'm asking for a small increase there. Line item 8207, and I've got Lieutenant Haywood here with me to inform the board a little bit more. So it has been recommended to increase our security protection so we do not have any issues. The cost of that protection is $17,544 per year. The cost of the firewall management is $2,200. 1 year renewal for socket bundle was $2,000, and managed network service renewal was $27,972. And to replace our scanners and computer replacement is about $6,000. And that is a fairly significant, but I've got Lieutenant Haywood, and I know he has spoken to the county administrator about some other costs that Magna 5 has informed us about after the budget was submitted. So Lieutenant Haywood can come up here
May I
real
ask a
quick.
question on the vehicle first?
Yes, sir.
Is that fully equipped? I mean, that's.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That is fully equipped. I try to include everything in that budget line item. So that is fully equipped. Lights, decals, radio install, siren. Yes, sir.
A quick question while you're, before you switch over. The dispatcher's salary increase, what are you proposing that works out to per hour?
Oh, gosh. Per hour? I'd have to go back and take a look. I would like to start them out at least a minimum of 38 or 38.5, but per hour.
So that's
If I had Ally here.
17, $18 an hour.
1830, 1826 an hour, 1827.
Thank you.
It seems like we should try to get that to at least $20 an hour for dispatchers based on our $15 minimum wage for other employees that we have that don't have the kind of certifications or responsibilities that our dispatchers
Absolutely.
have.
They do work very hard. They're our first line of defense.
Would you say who'd you say was raising theirs?
Middlesex raised theirs to 40.
40, so that's about $20 an hour, I think, about.
Close to it.
Math guru over there.
Thank you.
Yeah. 20 at 2,080 hours a year is 41.6.
spreadsheet for that.
Okay. Well,
That's my
Thank
opinion
you.
anyhow.
Well-
I don't know what the rest of the board.
Well, I agree with you because
Because
with
otherwise
jobs
it'll
is
just be-
now, if you can leave the dispatch off and go work somewhere else and make more money, you're just in competition, you're gonna lose good people, so,
with less stress.
yeah. That's right, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Lieutenant Haywood, would you mind?
Mr. Chairman, board members, the Sheriff's Office started off 2024 when kind of a shocking thing on January 6th, we were told by our software people, which was Magna 5, that we had experienced a ransomware attack. They immediately shut everything down. I notified Don Gill what had happened. Our insurance, we found out the county had insurance for that, thank goodness. They hired a law firm that specifically deals with this type of thing. They hired a third-party software company to come in and do the forensics on what happened. State police came in, looked at what happened, and fortunately enough, they got in, but the measures that we had stopped them from getting a whole lot of information. From what we saw, it was information that was FOIA requestable anyway. So with that note, once we got everything back up and running, it took about to the middle of February to get everything back to like 80%. So to protect this from happening again, we looked at some of the measures that we had, that we were working with, that maybe failed, and increase our security so that this would not happen again, and give us a lot of cost. One of the items was a multi-factor authentication, which you go through a VPN, our guys on the road with their MDTs, their laptops, sign in, and it gives them a second authorization where they have to sign in again. So it's double security on that end. That with how many of the MDTs we had, it's $125 a month times 12, which was $1,500. The next thing was backup and disaster recovery. Don has the paperwork there. And it was items off-premises storage. Some of it was in the cloud, different places where if somebody got in, they couldn't get to the information because it was not being stored there. With that, there's a whole lot more to that. It ended up being $1,465 a month. That times 12 was $17,580. So with those two security measures, the sheriff did not have those when he gave you his budget. We did not receive the cost of those until the 1st of March. So I went to him and told him, I said, we're going to need to do an addendum to the budget to cover this. It was $19,080 with those two items per year. So the software, the normal yearly software coverage and protections was $47,716, which I gave him. But we are adding the $19,080 for the protection due to the attack.
So the bottom line is, line item 8207 is going to be increased by about 20,000 than what is shown on your budget booklet. And just a little add-on about the cyber attack. When we first found out about it and we contacted the insurance and the law firm got involved, they wanted everything quiet. They didn't want this out in the public at all. So that's why you may or may not have heard about it. So they handled it, and I think Jeffrey can speak to it. They did an excellent job.
Yep, we met with them to do an exit meeting this month, and everybody that was a player involved was very happy with what happened.
Yeah.
So I will say to the board, to my knowledge, y'all allowed for hiring a extra IT person back in July of this year.
Yeah.
We really would like to instate that as soon as we could. Some of this costs for the computer stuff, Glenn helps me out a lot, but I know he's busy. But some of the things that we get Magna 5 to do. A lot of it that we asked him to do is in the contract we signed with him, but some of it's not, so it's an extra cost. For example, the in-car cameras that we just installed, we got Magna 5 to help us with getting that into our network. It was like $1,600 extra cost to the project. If we had an IT person that helped us out there 3 days a week, 2 days a week, whatever it may be, and gets familiar with our network, I think that would help cut our costs as far as computer line item. Anyone have any more questions?
Any questions? No. Okay.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Okay, I think that completes that account number. Now, account number 33100, jail, line item 3310, repairs and maintenance. We're asking for a $10,000 increase due to the columns that go into the front door of the sheriff's office are rotten. And the estimate for that repair was $10,000. Line item 6002, we're asking for a small increase in food prices. Our jail population has held steady anywhere from 25 to 33 over the last several months, which really and truly is a good thing. So in closing, I know that some of our line items are showing that they're way over at the moment, but that is a result of the $200,000 grant we received and have not been reimbursed yet. And the other large expenditure was the $35,000 that was not accounted for when we signed the contract with Central Square. And unfortunately, a large piece was left out, which we let the county administrator know. And Jeffrey and I met with Don concerning that issue. And, you know, as they say, the buck stops at the top. So, you know, even though I didn't know about that, I'll certainly take the hit on that one. So. Any questions? And I just want to say thank you so much for
Thank
everything.
you. Ms. Gill, the changes that Sheriff McCraney made, you have those?
Yeah, I mean, the only change that I'm aware of is the extra 20,000 on line item 8207 under 31200.
So really, we've been going to 140,000.
It'd be going to 140 from 120.
Okay.
There was already a $25,000 increase from 24, but this is an additional monthly fee based on the recommendations from the cybersecurity attack.
Okay, what's your pleasure, gentlemen? You ready to give a consensus? Or you want to discuss this later?
The only thing dispatchers pay. We might have to come back to look at it, but we need to, I think, really look at that. That would add up.
If, you know, with the 7% based on previous numbers, that would take a starting deputy to 49.4 and a starting dispatcher to 38.2. So now, you know, the sheriff has an overall salary line item, and we know there's turnover, so he may be able to get to the numbers that he mentioned just from, you know, some employees leaving and hiring new employees at cheaper amounts. I mean, there's always a little bit of coverage there, if that makes sense to
I think
you.
I'm hearing it. It's our desire that they be at what was that you
I
mentioned?
mean, the desire to at least, $20 an hour, which is
20,
basically
yeah.
40,000 a year, or somewhere around that,
Yeah.
like, I mean, you kind of hear what we're saying, so you have to look at all your salaries in comparison and what that does to compression, look around the line, and like Don said, move things around. If it costs more money, then we can adjust that throughout the year as well.
Okay. Yeah.
That's good with you, Sheriff McCraney?
Sir?
That's good with you?
Yes, sir.
All right, gentlemen, do I have a consensus?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we have a consensus. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. All right. Building official, Mr. Dawson.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to jump in here for a second because Brett told me before the meeting, he said, I'm not asking for an increase, so I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to say, but I'm, I wanted Brett to be here because, you know, our building department has undergone some changes during the past year. You had approved a third building inspector position in our budget last year. We actually filled that position for a short period of time during FY '24, but it's not filled currently. And I want Brett to attest to the fact that he and Kevin now running the building department, you know, have everything firmly under control. And we had a very good, it was an hour or so meeting this morning with the school folks as well, because I know there's been some concern on the board about once the new school gets going and all that construction gets going, would we need a third inspector to handle, you know, help handle that load? And that meeting this morning went over, you know, certain special inspections or third-party inspections that would be done outside of our in-house inspectors. So, you know, basically, I wanted Brett to be here just to reassure the board that, you know, that he and Kevin, the two folks that we have there now, are you know, have it firmly under control and are, you know, making it happen. And I don't see a need to fill that third building inspector position in the FY '20 budget. But as I told you when I introduced the draft on March 14th, you know, I'd like to leave that money in the budget, but move it to probably the refuge department when the renovations are done on the Kilmarnock site, because we're going to have to add 2 full-time positions there. And I can use that 1 full-time position and create basically 2 full-time positions in the refuge department. So that's the purpose of Brett being here. He does have 1 request on the capital improvement item budget to replace his truck, which has 60 or 70,000 miles on it. And and if you all have any questions for him, I'm sure he can answer.
While you talking, though, the meeting you had this morning, now, the contractors and construction people at the school, everybody's happy, you know,
Yeah,
moving forward.
yeah.
Yeah, me and Kevin both were very pleased with the set of plans we got from Timmons. They addressed a whole lot of detail, occupancies and safety items. So yeah, that was pretty seamless. One area that we got into was a lack of water for the sake of fire suppression, but we're coming up with a plan to resolve that also. Mm-hmm. That's mainly what we covered in this meeting.
Yeah.
Special inspections and makeup water.
Because I know the concern came up back, I don't know, during the summer, one of the meetings, that the inspectors needed to be, you know, there when the inspections need to be done and things like that. So, and I know they were bringing in some third party.
Yeah, well, we had Branch there, the builder today, we had school, we had F&R, the geotechnical inspection folks, we had Kilmarnock Volunteer Fire Department there. Who else was there, Brett? Did I miss anybody?
Just some other people who work for Branch.
Yeah. So, so yeah, and I mean, I think we've got it under control with 2.
All right. Any additional questions or comments?
I haven't heard any complaints, so it's a good job. Things must be running smoothly over there. The only question
That's
I
a
have
good
is,
thing.
do you have what you need? Is there anything that can improve your job or improve the office? Or I know at one point we were trying to implement some different software. Is there anything that you're looking forward or think that you could need or might need to make things better for you?
I'll be honest with you, I am very happy with the way things are going right now. It's been smooth sailing. We've got a lot of projects moving forward again that have been stalled. The contractors are happy, the homeowners are happy. I'm happy.
We're happy.
We don't hear that often. All right, thank you. All right, do I have a consensus?
Yeah.
Yep, okay, consensus. Virginia Cooperative Extension, Ms. Greer.
Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm Jasmine Greer with Virginia Cooperative Extension, and we don't have a whole lot changed on this budget. We do have an additional request of $4,482 total. Dues and memberships have gone up a bit for us. but I was able to move $100 from our telecommunications because we'd had a little extra there, so that didn't actually result in a net change. Our budget changes are really just due to salary increases. We had a merit increase this past year as well as a market adjustment. And I just kind of wanted to let you know that what you're getting for your money is you have 7 combined faculty and staff who are partially funded by Lancaster County. You also have 1 additional agent who's fully grant funded that you don't pay anything for. And just one additional note, I had a supporting Excel document that showed a vacancy in our horticulture program assistant position, and that has been filled. So we are currently fully staffed. Any questions?
Questions, gents? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a consensus?
Yes.
All right, we have a consensus. The YMCA, Ms. Peters.
Hi, good evening. I'm Betsy Peters with the Y. Started with the Y in October and happy to be a resident here. Just wish I'd done it about 20 years ago, though. But just on behalf of the Y and the YMCA Board, we're here to request, once again, $50,000 to help support the programs in the community. And I think one of the things that we're so fortunate about is we've just had such success in community support that we're able to keep our request at the same amount that it's been for several years. Just some of the success we've had this past year. 1,400 membership units at the Y, which is about 2,900 people, which is really great. Our sports programs, we served about 162 children this year and 40 teens, and continue to thrive around swimming. One of the things that we loved this year, we were able to partner with Omega Protein to offer their water safety training at our aquatic center. We started some adult swim lessons and taught about 216 youth how to swim this year. And then also have collaborated with the local school system so that we can have 230 second graders come to our Y and do some drown proofing classes with them, which has been really great. For 2024, some of our goals, one of the things that we did at our Y is one of the last things to come back after COVID was sports. And that was last year and a little bit in 2022. And we need to continue to improve the quality in that. We're in the process of hiring a director that will just work with our YMCA and Northern Neck, and so we're looking forward to that. We've had a lot of requests for girls volleyball. Pickleball continues to be a very popular sport within the Y, and so just improving the quality of those programs. One thing we've done in the last month is we have a parents group advisory board for our sports now, which is really nice to have their input and feedback and help us improve that quality. We're really looking to grow family memberships. When you walk into our Y, you see a lot of people, but we really want to make sure we're getting families in there and some of the younger community. And then just working to really build strong partnerships in the community. One thing I want to just share that I was not part of, but I'm really proud of, is last year we started serving infants in our Wiley Center and have 16 infants with a wait list there. So one of the only licensed facilities in the area. So just really proud of that. So happy to answer any questions as well.
Do you have a, I call it preschool, a 3-year-old, 4-year program?
So what we're doing, we're partnering with Lancaster Schools. We have infants all the way up to 2, and then we do have some 3- and 4-year-olds, but those were children who were not quite ready to go to school at the ECEC. So we've really tried to focus where the school system can handle our 3 and rising kindergartners, and we have the younger ones. Okay. So we probably have about 12 of those children who are 3 and 4 at the program.
Okay. And I believe you and the Boys and Girls Club work together.
We do. I just met with Philip yesterday, and they're playing sports with us, and we're working with them. We're playing soccer together. We do some swim lessons together, and just continuing to look for ways to partner because we have so many children that come to the Y and Boys and Girls Club as well as volunteers. So yeah, definitely want to do that.
Any additional questions?
It looks, if I'm looking at this right, your budget is increased by about 500,000?
It has. Between membership, one of the things that's really increased, probably 50% of that is funding from the Department of Social Services. 90% of the children, 90% of our infants that come to the program are receiving funding from social services, which is great. We work with, if you guys are familiar with social service, if you know Edna, over there, right? Edna is such an advocate for families, and it's just been a great resources for families, so it's wonderful that they can get that support for us.
Any additional questions? All right, thank you.
All right, thanks. Appreciate you guys.
Do I have a consensus?
Yes.
That's great.
Consensus.
Thank you.
All right, Boys and Girls Club, Mr. Mumford.
All right, good evening. Before we get started, I would like to introduce Miss Jackie Ammons, who's with me tonight. Jackie is our interim Marketing and Development Director at the Boys and Girls Club, and you might have recognized her from around town. She's the owner of Weekends and also on the chamber president currently, but she has some updated newsletters we'd like to hand out to all of y'all, if it's okay, while I make a quick presentation. So again, thank you for allowing us to come and speak with you again, and allowing us the time and the ability to come and share what we feel is the great work that the Boys and Girls Club has been doing in our communities both day in and day out. As we stated, of course, you received all of our materials. As we stated in our letter to you earlier this year, we're very thankful for the support that you've given. It actually helps make a significant impact year after year into what we're able to do here in Lancaster County. We are seeking this year level funding again, but even with level funding, we feel that we can continue to serve more kids and families than we've been able to do before. In '23, with your help, we were able to serve 421 youth and teens just here in Lancaster County alone over the entire year. This year, this number represents 322 young youth that are between the ages of 6 and 12, and another 99 teens ages 13 to 18. As an entire organization, the Boys and Girls Club of the Northern Neck now stretches not only in Lancaster, where is our home and our leadership hub, but in Northumberland and Richmond counties, where totally we're serving 642 members, as we reported last year. And our average daily attendance just in Lancaster, our average daily is how we kind of rate how well we're doing. We've averaged out at 117 youth a day, but we've had highs during the school year, this school year, as high as 140. And we've had summer days last summer as high as 180. These are far higher days than we'd ever had in years past. Currently, our organization across all 3 counties is averaging 200 kids every day coming to our clubs. We feel like we must be doing something right if the kids continue to come. Your continued support is also giving us an opportunity to provide a safe place during out-of-school times with having our young people with caring adult mentors, as well as continuing to help provide our programs that focus on one of our 4 core priority outcomes. And some of you may have heard these in the past, but our priority outcomes, which all programs have to fit into one of these categories, is helping our kids be academically successful, helping them learn how to live a healthy lifestyle, not only in body, but also in mind and in spirit, as well as we're working to instill traits of good character and instill leadership skills. And our newest priority, though we've been doing it for years, our national organization now considers it a new priority, and that is making sure that the teens are ready for that next stage in life. Working with other partners in the community, we're trying to make sure that they're prepared with career awareness and exploration, or if it be college, that they be ready to help find that college or technical school. We don't want to tell them what they need to do. We want to help them discover it and find it. Already, we have expanded our workforce readiness programs this year to include new technologies like AI and program, which it's pretty technical for me, but it's called Z Technology, that teaches members job skills and with hands-on 3D experiences. We do this through our Youth Technology Network partnership that we have worked with. And we continue to offer our core programs, which you hear us talk about probably year in and year out, about Power Hour, which is dealing with homework help, and Brain Gain, which helps with making sure that our kids don't have as much of the summer learning loss. We try to combat that. Money Matters, as well as Passport to Manhood and Smart Moves for Girls, which are two programs that help young men and women understand and figure out what you need to do as a young man or a young woman as you're growing, things you need to be concerned about. Further, we continue to be, as I was going to say, we continue to build partnerships. And they're still here. The Y is one of our strongest partners in the community. Swimming, sports, you already heard about it. I won't go into a lot of detail, but we've been working to strengthen that opportunity over the last few years, and I'm glad to call them our partners in the community. Further, we continue to be ready should the county seek to use our gym facilities for future athletic programs. I know at one point there was talk about an athletic director or something for the community, and we had made our facilities available. Nights, weekends, whenever the facility is dormant, we are willing to schedule it at no extra cost. This year, our corporate budget is expected to top $2.6 million, mainly because of our commitment to offer competitive wages, with our starting wages now at $15 an hour, or they will be come once we get to May. After factoring out our federal and state level grant funding and the expectations that come to those, the cost of our organization to provide the programs for each child is about $2,100 a year per member. However, we only pass on a fraction of that cost to our members, a mere $45 a year for membership, and they can pay that in payments if needed, as well as $25 a week in the summer. All total, a child just to come to the club and participate in 7 or 8 weeks of summer, it's $245. We pass on a small fraction of that total cost. And yes, there are families that we still have to provide scholarships for. And we do that because we don't ever want to hold back a young person because of the financial concerns of the family. We want to make sure that all of the youth that we work with have an even playing field, that they are able, no matter what the situation is at home, they are provided the same opportunities as all other children. And for those families that can afford to give more, we do ask that they consider making contributions, which are tax deductible, and many do that, which is a help. We work to lift our community's youth up and give them even chances and brighter futures. It's our aim to treat all youth and teens the same, no matter the financial constraints for their families. Support such as us, our request helps to make possible what we're doing in the community, and we're looking forward to continuing future. Are there any questions at this point?
Questions, Jim? Yeah. Okay.
I do have one,
Yes, sir.
Philip. I was looking at your 5-year income,
Okay.
and it looks like that this year you had a really good year in '23, and it looks like that's the first time it had exceeded where you were in 2019. Was most of that decrease in those middle years COVID-related, or was it just other things?
For the most part, it was coming out with COVID.
That's what I figured.
We have been working hard on looking for new grants. You'll notice that our grants and trusts have gone up significantly as income from 19 at $423,000 up to we're anticipating this year being like that was 22. About 1.75, which is about 65% of our budget. These are primarily state and federal grants, but also some local community grants, which help make that possible. Your number, your amount is included in that number. So,
You got a good trend there.
thank you.
Does Westmoreland have a Boys and Girls Club? Or are they talking
They
about
do
it?
not yet, but they are already talking to us, and we're willing to help them make it happen. It's going to take some funding, though. We've got to figure out what that funding stream looks like in order to make it work. So if you got ideas, let us know.
All right. Any additional questions, comments? All right. What's your I have a consensus?
Yeah, we're okay.
Yeah, okay, we have a consensus. I want to thank you, Boys and Girls Club, what you do for our community, our youth, and also, I didn't say this to you, to why, thank you as well. We very, very much appreciate you being here in the community and what you're doing for our youth.
Thank you
It's
very
needed,
much.
and you're providing that need. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Certs, Mr. Armstrong. Okay, that's not Mr. Armstrong.
Actually, Julie Dudley, Matt told me you weren't going to be here that
I
time,
wasn't.
so,
I was
yeah.
going to the Hurricane Conference, and unfortunately, my mum was taken ill.
That's what he
And
told
then Tom contacted me at 7 a.m. this morning, and his mother has been taken ill as well. So I have brought Roy, who's my one of my volunteers. So, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, thank you for allowing me to come today. A little bit of background, as you're aware, Lancaster County Community Emergency Response Team, known as CERT, recently become a non-profit organisation, and we're operating under the name Eastern Virginia CERT. We have installed a full board in November 2023. For over 8 years, CERT has supported Lancaster Emergency Services, supporting functions under your local emergency operation plan. For those 8 years, we have obtained grants to offset our costs for equipment and provided areas with new updated equipment. Our organisation is all volunteer. We do not have any employees. And this comprises of residents of Lancaster County who answer the call when an emergency occurs, participate in regular training, as well as help our local government in public events. CERT was started to support sheltering due to the lack of disaster assistance on the Northern Neck. This was to support DSS and EMS with opening shelters, securing cots and blankets, delivery setup, volunteering in the shelter, and both human and pet sheltering, then clean up and returning of cots. Today, we've become an organisation that emergency management and professional rescuers can rely on in the event of a situation, so they can focus on more complex tasks. This includes adapting to new tasks where the emergency management or professional rescuers have gaps. We've taken on the responsibility of training our volunteers, to name a few, in pet and human sheltering, search and rescue, disaster assessment, fire suppression, triage, stop the bleed, and traffic control. In August 2020, a 15-mile tornado hit, as we all know. Lancaster County CERT was active in the community. As part of the county response, CERT conducted disaster assessment and helped residents with clean-up and removal, including in one instance where we lost a resident of the community. The daughter wanted to collect the memories that were outside, so we went down and we cleared up for her and collected her memories as well. We also collaborated with other organisations, and we distributed funds. We also went door to door with flyers, set up a call centre for 7 days for residents to contact us so that we could take their information. Preparing disaster assessment, incident command, call centre, donation centre, etc., as I just said, that was 505 hours, volunteer hours. When COVID hit, COVID became available on the Northern Neck and Middle Peninsula, and we provided traffic control, registration, monitoring patients, and we organised a 2-week COVID centre, which was with Three Rivers, and it was in Richmond County. Rappahannock General Hospital set up a vaccination clinic. Over 1,500 volunteer hours were given to the community. while working the COVID clinics, in the May, we had straight line winds that went through. We were able to organise 2 sets of volunteers, one to do the clinics and one to do the straight line winds and do disaster assessment. We were in the EOC, and that was 144 volunteer hours. We also partner with RGH, the police department, the sheriff's departments, for an active shooter drill, which is at the hospital. We also provide fire safety to RGH and their employees. That's normally about 26 hours, volunteer hours in a week. We participated in certifying all our volunteers in Narcan, so they are now registered to carry Narcan canisters. Starting in June and through November, CERT is on constant alert through Code Red for disasters and for whatever the county needs us for. We've introduced community outreach to keep our volunteers active. So the sheriff has trained us all in traffic control, and we can assist in like the Kilmarnock Parade, Kilmarnock Fire Department Carnival, and in the past few years we've been asked to partner with RGH, the library and the chamber, just to name a few. In addition to supporting the community, we train teams to quickly respond. We hold monthly training meetings for certain members to better prepare. In September, we held a large-scale disaster exercise, which was disaster assessment, search and rescue, and triage. Many of the local residents came out and joined us, and we're big in partnering with whomever, whether it's the YMCA, which has come out, and the Boys and Girls Club to collect cots for us. Whether it's Red Cross, and we can get them down here. So whoever will give us help, we will partner with. So the problems to be addressed, since we're planning for the 2024 hurricane season and continuing our training and support efforts, we are currently in need of funding to support emergency supplies for supporting exercises in search and rescue, triage, first aid, and disaster recovery. The funding we are requesting supports us when we are speaking to donors and grantees that the county values CERT as much as we do. We're finding now that a lot of the grantees are saying to us, sorry, this is a county programme, we're not supporting you. Where now we've become a non-profit, they will support us. We also couldn't go for individual money because obviously being under the county, you can't take individual money. So now we can actually go out to the community and raise our own money. So the goal of CERT is to better serve the residents of the county and ensure that CERT members have the necessary resources to be at their best to support our professional rescuers when and where CERT is needed, and to be flexible to support EMS with ongoing programs. Any questions?
Do you just work with Lancaster County, or do you work with other counties?
We've always just been with Lancaster County. Whether we expand out, we're talking about, but not at the moment. It's just going to be Lancaster County.
Okay. And you're saying the requested funds are for emergency supplies?
Correct, emergency supplies, and I've had to take out the insurances. And of course, with the insurances, I mean, before we would have been under the county, but now we're taking out our own insurance.
Okay. Any additional questions?
I might just have one question. I guess it's more not necessarily directed at CERT, but didn't we require a trailer of emergency services for
Correct.
hurricane
Yeah.
response?
Yeah.
Is it to kind of keep that up and going, or?
Well,
additional supplies
they're outside here, aren't they? We've got cots and blankets in them. I try not to use the cots and blankets in the trailer at the moment. We have a resource of cots that I actually got when I was at Red Cross. So we use that at the moment. When they're depleted, then we use our stock.
So I see on your board, Matt Smith is on your board, and
Yes.
I think he's listed as an advisor, so his role is just to advise in what capacity? I mean, this is,
Well, obviously where there's gaps, I mean, as I said, when we first started this off, we started off as just for sheltering. That's expanded out now with disaster assessment. We're the first ones, boots on the ground. We get a code red and we go out. With the fire that we had in Kilmarnock, it was only after that fire and talking to the fire department, we said, you know, if you'd have called us on code red, called Matt, then we could have come out and we could have done traffic control for you. And they wished they'd known about that, obviously. The Sheriff's Department, we partner with the Sheriff's Department. So with the COVID clinics, with RGH, we actually did the traffic control and everything else, which meant a deputy didn't have to go down there. So we've expanded out with the county. Now, if Matt says that he needs something else, then we'll expand out more.
Any additional questions, comments? No. All right.
Did that answer it?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do I have a consensus? We have a consensus. All right. Healthy Harvest Food Bank, Mr. Shakatama.
I don't see Paul here, but the RCC folks are here, so you can,
Okay, so
when
let's-
Paul gets here, he can
All right, so.
take
Okay,
Paul's
Rappahannock
spot.
Community College, okay.
We love working with Paul. Hi, everybody. I'm Shannon Kennedy. I'm the president at Rappahannock Community College. Thank you so much for your time. And I am joined by Cassie Thompson, who is your appointee to the RCC local board. Just for your reference, we serve 12 counties, and our local board consists of a representative from each of those 12 counties. So just briefly wanted to tell you a little bit about some of our latest stats related to Lancaster County. We had, in the fall of 2023, 144 residents as students. Is that law? Yes. Everybody just stuck out. You can't get out, we're not letting you out. So we had 144 Lancaster County residents that were students at RCC in our credit programs, and I will stress that, why the difference there in a moment. Of all of the Virginia colleges, so that's four-year, as well as community colleges, of all the Virginia colleges that Lancaster residents attend, 50% of those residents attend RCC. So that's very significant. And 14% of the 2023 high school grads from Lancaster High School are attending RCC now. Our request is for $7,944, and we thank you for your past support. And now I'm going to talk about more of the fun stuff of the projects that we have going on. First, not as important. Thanks for letting me have your spot, Paul. No, sir. Don't you worry about that. So this one is not as important to you, but it is, and I'll explain why. We're currently raising funds for a 9,000 square foot health sciences facility that will be located adjacent to the Warsaw campus. And I say that it'll be right next to the Chin House, but our foundation owns that property. And even though we have 117 acres there, if I can avoid going through the state building process, we can build it in half the time. And since the state is giving us no money, this $6.2 million project we are raising on our own. I know Warsaw is a little further than Glenn's campus, for depending on where you live in Lancaster County. But all of our nursing students, all of our health sciences students go to every location, because we have a lab in New Kent, labs at Glenn's, labs at Warsaw. So everybody that's in a health science program will rotate through that new facility. And it will have nursing simulation rooms, which we currently do not have that capability. So for example, a faculty member can give a student a scenario, and they're working in the simulation room, and the faculty member's in a control room, running that scenario and watching, and helping them through those skills. So we're excited about that. We'll also have an EMS simulation room, so it'll be kind of like a living room. We'll have an ambulance pad where they could practice if they were a call and had to get out of the ambulance, go into a house, and get someone out on the stretcher and into the ambulance. So some practical experience that we'll be able. So I just ask for your, cross your fingers, pray, whatever it is you do. We are applying to a EDA, disaster supplemental grant, that could fund up to 80% of the project. That application goes in tomorrow. Just so you know, I love saying this, does anybody remember Winter Storm Tabitha between February 11th and 13th of 2021? Lancaster County was one of the impacted counties, believe it or not. There were 8 of the 12 counties we serve that were impacted, which makes us eligible for this funding. So it is not a wide open, this is kind of a very special grant. So if you were out without power, I'm sorry, but thank you, because this has given us a heck of an opportunity. So we'll know about that fairly shortly in the next few months. If that does go through, then we will be full steam ahead on that project. What we're doing at the Glens campus that is very exciting for our partnership with Lancaster County is we are taking a 4,000 square foot warehouse that we have, and we're going to transform that into instructional space. By the way, we've not had a new building on either campus in over 45 years. So the health sciences would be new, instructional building. The warehouse is our newest building, and it is lovely. It's got 2 roll-up doors, it's wide open, it's brick, and so we are going to have about half of that building will be our diesel mechanics program. And we're expanding our welding from 9 booths to 14. That will be in the other half of that building. They each have their own roll-up door. Already had 3-phase panel. The first step, though, is we'll be having a metal warehouse building installed that will replace that, so that then we have the instructional use. We had budgeted for this project, and I should say the current welding lab will be HVAC. Diesel and HVAC, we have been operating at New Kent part-time in the evening only because of the facilities. Now we'll be able to offer all of these programs full-time. And we have an agreement with Lancaster County Schools. These are not programs offered at the Northern Neck Tech Center. We are partners, we're not competing, but those programs, Lancaster County High School is gonna bus students to Glens for those programs, so there'll be dual enrollment as well. So these are all jobs that you get out making with a 2-year degree or less, $50,000 to $60,000 as an entry level, and their jobs in our community. So we're really excited about that partnership. And so those are the things we were raising. We budgeted for that. We did get a Go Virginia grant to sort of help with that. But through the Strengthening Industrial Base, which is essentially, if I boil it down, it's funding from the federal government through the Navy to support Newport News Shipbuilding, because of their desperate needs for jobs, and with welding and some of the other things we're doing, we'll be adding maritime electrical that will also be available to high school students. But we did receive $2.5 million. They were telling us we were going to get 2. I wasn't counting on it until I saw that it was in writing, and we got 2.5 instead of 2. You never get more than you think you're going to get. So we're very excited. Those projects are full steam ahead. Hope we will plan to have the diesel and the increase in welding and the HVAC ready to go for the fall of 2025. I'd like it sooner, but this is state property. And so we're going through a few of those extra hurdles. And then hopefully in fall of 26, if everything works as we would like it, we will be in the new health sciences building. So we're really excited about the expansion of programming and the new or retrofitted facilities that we will have. It's difficult with what we have. If you've all been in our buildings, they are traditional concrete classroom buildings built in the early 70s and not necessarily for the needs of our economy. So we're working on that. And so those are some of the things that we have going on. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
How are the classes going at the Kimona campus?
We have very few classes. They found, and this was prior, I've been here almost 5 years, believe it or not, that trying to offer a lot of the academic classes was just splitting the participation at Glenn's and at Kilmarnock, and then we were not having enough students to make either class. So, but I will tell you, of our head count, so bodies, about 50% of our entire credit population is dual enrollment. A significant number of our workforce credentials are dual enrollment. So they're not even coming to the facilities. Most of that is done at the high school. As I said, we're talking about credit students and we talk about our workforce students, and we're working on compiling that. I said it in a panel today. A student is a student is a student. They don't come and go, oh, well, no, I don't want, they say, I want welding. They don't care, they don't know what if it's credit or not credit. So we've changed our whole model. We don't run students around, they get one person. But Kilmarnock, we're looking at the best use of the facility, but we do have some medication aid classes and some other health, our CNA classes that we do offer on site in the Kilmarnock Center.
Any additional questions?
And I'm going to leave you, because I didn't want to, we had an economic impact study done for the college, so this is all 12 counties. But I will leave you with this just two-page handout if you're interested. But for every dollar that a student invests, their return is $7.50 in future earnings. And for every public dollar invested, the return is $2.30. So we're a good investment. Donald.
Thank you.
All so much. And I thank you, let Cassie speak. Cassie is an excellent board member, and so I just wanted to thank you for giving her
We
to
assigned
us.
her in one of our weakest moments.
Well, you know, she's bothering you, I know.
I'll remember that, Bill. I just wanted to say how much I appreciated you guys asking me to, consider being a board member representing Lancaster. Maybe not every one of you thought that was a good idea. However, I have to say it's been an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to serve on that board. And I have to say that Shannon Kennedy, Dr. Kennedy, is a force multiplier. The things you're hearing about, the grants the school goes after, this woman's on top of every single bit of it. She and her staff and the board are exceptional, and we're lucky to have her and the board members and that staff, and that's all I'm going to say.
Thank you.
Bring my checkbook.
All right, thank you all. Do I have a consensus?
Yes.
Consensus.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you guys so much.
I'm sorry RCC took up all your time.
Healthy Harvest.
Is there consensus on the food? No.
Healthy Harvest, Mr. Shakaton.
I told Paul to be here at 6, and he was.
Moving a little fast.
I got here at 5 of.
That's right, yeah. You were on time.
Hi, guys. Good evening. It's great to see you all again. And I'm here today on behalf of the Healthy Harvest Food Bank. You have been a gracious funder of the food bank now for a number of years. And last year, we requested $10,000 that you provided to us. Our request this year is for level funding. And I believe in front of you should have been the annual report. Don, did you provide them with the annual report?
They've got that, yes.
And the statistics for last year. Lancaster continues to be one of our largest counties, although if you looked at the statistics closely, you'll see that Middlesex County through the Crier Center there, in dollars distributed, just slightly beat us last year. And I guess that's a good thing when you think about it. But we distributed over 320,000 meals. We have over 120 children in our Backpack Buddy program. And we actually have 2 senior programs going now. And for any of you that have not been to our campus lately, the Aquaponics Center is up and running. The vegetables coming out of it are absolutely stunning, incredible, perfect. You could go on our Facebook page, and there's about 30-some pictures there of everything from tilapia to basil that we're growing. We're at about 25% capacity there now, and we actually have been authorized by the state that we can actually sell produce. And our first thought is, we've got 32 pantries that need fresh produce, and we have 7 school districts that are interested in our produce also. So I don't think we'll be doing very much retail on it, but as a STEM lab, it's an incredible educational tool, and beginning in the fall, we'll be having, we've talked to the various school systems, and children will be coming there to, especially a little older age group that may understand what we do, plant some plants, watch them grow. We're also running educational programs out of there for at-risk adults with diabetes and heart disease. We call it Healthy Food Pharmacy, and it's partnered with our Jeannie Nelson's
Free health.
Free Health Clinic. We're partnering with the Free Health Clinic, the first group through, and that's also another partnership with the Department of Health. And what we're doing is taking these at-risk patients with a 6-week program on how to eat healthy, how to prepare healthy foods, which would include, if we give you a chicken, we don't want you to fry it, we want you to bake it or broil it or grill it. And in the pilot classes that we've had so far over a 6-week period in our test group, their bad cholesterol, their LDL was down over 14% during a 6-week period of time. And we plan on using the educational facility for not only for adults, but for teens and elementary students. We'll also have some aquaponics, mini aquaponics centers that we're bringing to classrooms for elementary students beginning next year. So we're trying to shift the mentality, or the mission will always be the same, that we are going to provide meals to the hungry. But we understand generational poverty, and we're trying to open the eyes of children and adults to greater possibilities. And it's going to take time, but one of our core thoughts is to help break the cycle of generational poverty. If we have to do it one family at a time, we'll try. So, as I said, our request is for $10,000, and I hope you'll honor us with that again this year.
Guess I'll ask my annual question.
What is Richmond County doing?
You got your tax break? No, okay.
Richmond County has a funny formula for funding us now. They look at what their total tax is and divide it by 1/6, and they give us a donation for their share of the taxes they're charging us.
Wow.
We are the only food bank in the Commonwealth of Virginia that is paying taxes. And there's one exception to it. In Southwest Virginia, the Southwest Virginia Food Bank, which covers from Roanoke all the way to Bristol, has several depots. And 2 of their depots, they do charge them tax in some of those rural counties like Wise.
Just donate the land to RCC, and then you can get, and then with permanent rights to stay there, and then they won't have to, then you won't be taxed, because it'll be under owned by a government agency.
Jason, that's a good idea. We'll consider that. I'll talk to Shannon about that. But since you took all of my time tonight, I don't have much else to say.
Are you working with the vocational, I used to call it vocational, the technical school as far as the horticulture department?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, we are.
All right, good. Any additional questions, gentlemen, comments? No? All right, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul. Do I have a consensus?
Yes.
We got a consensus. All right. Thank you, sir. All righty. Bay Consortium.
Very own. John Lee.
Yeah.
Right.
This is one of the groups that I've given over to John for him to attend meetings and all, and it fits real good with economic development. So when Jackie said she couldn't present, I said, John, you're doing it. So Glenn, give me PC2?
You just didn't want to present it, Don.
You got the screen on, Glenn? You got the screen on?
John done a good job already. He's reduced it by $45.
Oh, yeah, it's working. All right. It hadn't come up there yet, but it's on.
Oh, so they can see it?
They can see it on their screens.
All right. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Presenting on behalf of Jackie Davis for the Bay Consortium Workforce Development Board. As you all know, the Workforce Development Board partners with Lancaster County to connect workers to employment opportunities, employers to available workers, and connects the workforce to training opportunities. I actually had the privilege of meeting with Jackie and her staff with an effort to improve the distribution of their services in the county last month. If you look at Lancaster representation, next slide, our board members, Jennifer Bowie and Cleo representation is currently me as the designee. I had the benefit of a month and a half ago of going to the Workforce Development Board Cleo combined meeting, learned quite a bit. So the Cleo is the consortium of locally elected officials, if you're unaware. Next slide. Looking at a snapshot of customer service for Lancaster County, they've had 131 visitors in 2023 to the Warsaw Center. You can see the distribution of how people are coming and when they're coming throughout the period of the year. Actually had a conversation with Jackie about those winter months and what the nature of those increases were. We're going to be strategizing on that. They've had over 50 visitors to the Fredericksburg Center and 24 self-reported job placements. So they're getting a lot of traffic. And the Virginia Career Works the Northern Neck is located in the regional building in Warsaw. Next slide. Quickly looking at businesses in the county, age distribution, median age of business ownership is 57. The national average is 38. Obviously, like to get that number down, provide more opportunities for our youth and entrepreneurial opportunities. Healthcare and social assistance, mostly the industries were 21%, retail trades 13.5%, hospitality and food services 10.5%. And construction, 8%. They note that the cost of living index and unemployment is below the national average in the county.
John,
Yes, sir.
You mentioned you'd like to get that age down on the median age, but isn't that a reflection really too of the population?
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah, also I'd like to get that percentage of construction businesses up so we have more employment opportunities in the trades. Next slide. All right, looking at program delivery. So job training. They provided CDL training to 2 adult individuals. The contract for Title I services is held by Rappahannock Community College. So they provided that training through the community college. 2 youth were trained in CompTIA A+, which is the industry standard for launching IT careers. And so that's excellent outcomes. Next slide. Program delivery, business employment. Top 5 services were provided. You can see there. We're serving our veterans as much as we can. Like to see more opportunities given to veterans to provide training and employment opportunities. You'll notice the businesses breakdown, the businesses served breakdown. Lancaster County Public Schools is listed prominently there, but I also wanted to note that water-dependent industries were served, which supports our heritage industries. There's 6 of them. Next, staff assisted were 11 individuals, or 11 businesses, and automated 30. And I'd like to, personally would like to see more automation and more on that to come later in the future. Next slide. Career engagement. This was presented at the Workforce Development Clio board meeting in February, that they used a VR, virtual reality technology to engage with youth about potential career paths. You can see some of the other opportunities that they've had to engage with youth here locally. But it was interesting to note that the top career path as coming from that virtual reality was emergency medical technician. And that's something that really piqued my interest, understanding the need we have as a county to keep those positions staffed. Next slide. So what can we do to strengthen and improve? It's kind of a jumble, but making connections is the primary one. And my goal in meeting with Jackie and her team was to improve the distribution of those services in the county, to draw greater connections with Lancaster County Public Schools, greater connections with the chamber and business associations, so that we can better connect employers and employees with these job opportunities. So connecting, also connecting workers and employers to more workforce training opportunities. That's all I had.
Yeah. Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
Your slide back there showed, I think it was 8,000 some dollars for 2 trainees for CDL. Is that correct? Is that what the cost is running per person for CDL training?
I'd have to ask Jackie, but I assume that's the correct number.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I've
I was
heard,
just shocked by that.
I've heard anecdotally that it can be quite expensive to get your operator's license and the CDL training.
Yeah, okay.
I think
Yeah,
it's around
that's,
$4,000 a person.
yeah, that's a chunk.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper than college.
It's, this is very true.
When I got my CDL, I just went in DMV and said, I've driven a truck 500 miles, and they gave it to me.
I wish I'd done that.
All right, any questions?
Yeah, their request is based on population of the counties that they serve, and it's $2,688, which is, small money for what they do.
Thank you, Mr. Bateman. All right, we have a consensus.
Yes.
Yeah, consensus. All right. Good.
Good job, John.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Gill, unless you got something else, that's the end of the budget presentation for this evening.
Yeah, that's it. So you can recess till 7 o'clock, and
That's what we will do.
there's some-
We are now in recess until 7 p.m.
and there's some refreshments and food in the kitchen.
wanted to call the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors back to order. At this particular time, we're going to go into presentations. And at this particular time, we want to recognize some high school students from the outstanding performances that they've done. And I'm going to start with a resolution adopted by the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors recognizing state champion shot put and discus thrower Reese Rhodes. And the resolution reads as, whereas Reese Rhodes is a senior at Lancaster High School and is a highly accomplished and decorated shot put and discus thrower with the Lancaster High School boys indoor and outdoor track teams, which are led by Coach Draper Washington and assistant coaches Marcus Ferguson and James Timms. And whereas Reese Rhodes has won 4 district titles, 6 regional titles, and 4 state titles during his indoor and outdoor shot put and discus throwing career, including personal best throws of 63 feet in shot put and 176 feet and 3 inches in discus. Wow. And whereas Reese Rhodes has broken the indoor and outdoor state of Virginia shot put records and was the 2022 outdoor shot put state champion and is the reigning 2023 outdoor shot put state champion and the reigning 2023 discus state champion, and recently won the 2024 indoor shot put state championship. And whereas Reese Rhodes is the #1 ranked shot put thrower in the state of Virginia, wow, and has competed nationally, finishing 4th in indoor shot put in both 2023 and 2024. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Lancaster County hereby recognize the exemplary dedication and determination and expresses its admiration to Reese Rhodes for all of the outstanding accomplishments attained during his indoor and outdoor shot put and discus throwing career. And be it finally resolved that a copy of this resolution expressing the sense of the Lancaster Board of Supervisors on this matter be conveyed to the Lancaster County School Board, the Lancaster High School Athletic Director Chuck Parrish, and be spread upon the meeting minutes of said Board of Supervisors, adopted this 28th day of March 2024. Gentlemen, you've heard this resolution. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Unanimously passed. I'm going to ask Mr. Reese Rhodes to show up over here for me, along with his coach, Coach Draper Washington, assistant coach Marcus Ferguson, and James Timms.
Y'all want to come down?
Come on down. Okay. Position us how you want.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do 2 rows.
Board members, in front. Board members, in front. Let's get down here.
Perfect.
Bill, you want my I didn't get the memo. I did get the
Okay, thank you.
I just forgot.
All right.
He just ignored it.
That's all right.
No wonder blow out your knee.
All right. Second resolution. A resolution adopted by the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors recognizing the 2024 state champion Lancaster High School boys basketball team. Whereas the 2024 Lancaster High School boys basketball team was the Northern Neck District regular season champions and tournament champions, the Region 1A tournament champions, and the Virginia High School League Class 1 state champion. And whereas the 24 Lancaster High School boys basketball team finished this season with a record of 26 wins and 2 losses. All right. And repeated as Virginia High School League Class 1 state champions. And whereas the 2024 Lancaster High School boys basketball team was led by head coach Dwayne Penn, assistant coaches Eddie Hall, Troy Henderson, Javante Smith, Sean Thomas, Mark Saunders, and ball boy Landon Penn, and consisting of the following student athletes: Kevontrez Buns, and if I mispronounce your name, gentlemen, forgive me, please. All right, Jamarcus Russell, okay, Lamar Maddox, Tyleo Walters, Ronell Gordon, Davion Smith, DeMarcus Howard, Zayden Veeney, Terrell Diggs, Christian Thomas, Jacarius Morris, Troy Henderson, I think this is Javine Monroe, Antonio Tomlin, and Jaden Crockett. All right. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Lancaster County hereby recognizes the exemplary dedication and determination of and expresses its admiration to the 2024 Lancaster High School boys basketball team for the outstanding accomplishments attained this season, culminating with back-to-back Virginia High School League Class 1 state championships. And be it finally resolved that a copy of this resolution expressing the sense of the Board of Supervisors of Lancaster County on this matter be conveyed to the Lancaster County School Board, Lancaster High School Athletic Director Chuck Parrish, and be spread upon the meeting minutes of said Board of Supervisors adopted this 20th day of May. You've heard the resolution, gentlemen. All in favor say aye. Aye. Unanimously passed. All right, with the following ones that were called, and this, please come forward over here along with your coaches. Gentlemen.
Hold on. Yes.
Mr. Fallon? Yes. Okay.
We're gonna have to get you official pillows.
I gotta help him down.
If you want, stand up on that.
Yeah, I need that, please.
Got it, thank you.
All right.
We want to challenge y'all to basketball. 3 and 5, give us your best 5.
You're not here. You tell him I'm resting. All right.
Don't you know about that? That'd be a great fundraiser for us five to take on their.
Fundraiser.
Yeah. You figured it out, Bill, buddy. No, we're not betting.
What's it, man?
I said fundraiser. I didn't say DraftKings.
We'll all be on the DL.
Now, back to business.
He's getting his sign ready.
Yeah.
You gotta get him one of those like placards with the handle on it. Flip it around and it goes, it's like green, it goes like green and then turns yellow.
There you go, yep, yeah. Okay, now we're ready for a public input session. And as we have always told you, you have 3 minutes. Anyone who wants to say anything that's not related to the present agenda, you have 3 minutes to say it. At the end of 2, I will raise up my sign. Same for the ones online. I'll say 1 minute left, and you have 1 minute to complete your thoughts. So that means you can say a lot in 3 minutes. We'll get right to the point. Okay, anybody, public hearing is, public input session is now open. Anybody in the audience? Anybody online? Yes. Okay, so you may speak. The ones online, we're listening. Hello? Okay.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. I am Pixie E. Curry. I want to thank the board members who have readily given information to the Save Brookvale History Committee, and we look forward to our scheduled meeting between the board and the committee with the end goal of having some concrete solution agreeable to the community. I am still in support of any effort to establish Brookvale High School, the building and the land, as a historical site, and the building to be repurposed into a museum, an art center, health facility, trades training facility, classes for enrichment on life skills, and various other subjects such as domestic science, agriculture, forestry science, social studies, covering topics such as learning and understanding how to file your taxes, how to write a business plan, how to open a checking account, and several other subjects that aren't necessarily being taught in school and may not be available to search because of lack of internet access. There could also be places for small business opportunities, similar to what Mr. Theodore Bird had established. The land could be used for the construction of affordable housing and also a recreation and physical education facility for the community. I know the community is overjoyed and celebrating yet another achievement of the student athletes of Lancaster High School, which no doubt has the board wanting to quickly get approval for erecting the commemorative signage, proudly displaying the excellence of the Northern Neck. Since the last board meeting, Lancaster High School boys basketball team has won the state championship for the second year in a row. The community will be excited to see past, present, and the future recognition of Lancaster High School, Lancaster County Public Schools, the blue and orange of Brookvale High School and the red and white of Lancaster High School. Support, suggestions, and comments about preserving the history of Brookvale High School can be forwarded to savebrookvalehistory@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, anyone else? No, sir. All right. Public input session is now closed. VDOT.
How y'all doing this evening?
Good.
How are you?
I've missed the last couple of months, so.
Where have you been?
Huh?
No.
Drainage, that's what I've been. I think David sent y'all a report. Does anybody have anything else for me?
I saw in here some of the road repair work upcoming, I guess, for the summer. Is there any more look at Beach Road, because it's in still pretty bad shape?
Yeah, we will be able to put the pothole truck, we just got them back. We'll go in and patch that stuff. But it'll probably be, anything you submit now will be like a year out for next year.
So maybe that surface treatment or pavement schedule could be for next summer?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll submit it and we'll just see how, comes out. They prioritize it more so than we do. We submit it and then it goes up the line. We did have a pothole truck week before last, and we've had a back truck this week, so we've been working on some pipes and doing a little bit of ditching and stuff. There's plenty to do after the last couple of weeks of rain, so.
Yeah, definitely. How are we prioritizing or looking at like failed pipes or backing up pipes? Is that something y'all routinely kind of do throughout the year, or?
We
like,
do.
After a major storm like this, do you kind of patrol around and wait for complaints and go check them out, or?
We do. I mean, just, like today, a day like today, we just kind of pair up and see what's what. And, I thought we were in pretty good shape. We did a lot last summer, and we had some extra money and everything, and it's never ending. I mean, it backs up on you and all, but we are, if there's anything that's going on, we're, trying to maintain it and clean it what we can by hand. And I know it's several places now that we're working on but you can't ditch when it's wet.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to stay on top of it.
Any additional questions, gentlemen?
I see you're doing Taylor's Creek Road. On the way to Taylor's Creek on Route 222, you'll feel some potholes. Will you guys address those if you have the resources?
Yes.
Okay. And you guys are really good. We had some issues in District 5, but you guys jumped on them pretty quick. So we appreciate that.
So there are potholes on 222?
There's some, yeah, right before you get to Route 200. So I guess it's where the Compass office is.
Uh-huh.
There are a couple right there as you before you make that turn to get to the stop sign.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check them out tomorrow. And we did have a sinkhole on Middlegate going into Compass. We dug it out, couldn't really find anything, so we put some cloth down and put some stone, and we'll monitor
I even
that.
put a note on my dash, on my wind shield to not forget it, and I've forgotten it. I hit it every single day.
Any additional comments, questions? Thank you, sir.
All right, well, thank y'all. If you need something, just holler.
All right, okay. All right, now we go into presentations. Proposed county parks update, Mr. Tingle.
Chris, your flash drive wouldn't recognize, but I got it. Glenn, can you give me P2? So I'll write you it.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. How's everyone doing?
Good.
You all have met me before. Tom Tingle is on the sunny shores of somewhere right now, so enjoying his retirement. But I am continuing on with the project. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kristen Baum. I am a principal with Guernsey Tingle Architects. And we are very excited to be back in front of you all today and give you some updates on our projects. We had our master plan approved back in October of '23, and we were given notice to proceed in January with the project, so we have some updates for you today. Next slide, please. So the sites that we're talking about are Taylor Creek, Carter Cove, and Windmill Point, all of the waterfront access parks that we did the master planning for last year. I will not go into a whole lot of detail. Next slide, please. I will not go into a whole lot of detail with what the master plans were, but I will briefly have them up here. What I will say is our work as the architect is kind of the tip of the iceberg with everything else that's going on there. There's a lot of land planning. There's a lot of civil and stormwater work that needs to be done, especially grading in the instance of Taylor Creek. Next slide, please. So what I'll talk about is I'm going to hit that tip of the iceberg with the architectural pieces. I know that Bay Design Group was here last month. We've been doing a lot of coordination with them and with our team, which includes Land Planning and Design Associates. So this is our approved site plan for Carter Cove from October. Next slide, please. What you see highlighted here is, again, that sliver of the work that includes the architectural structures. We have a restroom building, a picnic shelter and overlook, and most notably, we have the Oyster House Pavilion, which I believe has been now dubbed the Oyster House Heritage Learning Center. So those highlighted pieces are what I want to update you on today, but I can answer questions on anything else as well if you need me to today. I know that Bay Design Group hit a lot of these. Next slide. So I'll talk mostly about the Oyster House because this is the most important component on this project. I will say it's going to be the most complex piece of all of the buildings that we have on all three sites. We had a work group that met briefly in October, and we had some tasks and do-outs from that. That group needs to be re-energized. Next slide, please. Next slide. And there is what we looked at when we met back in October, which was what we're thinking of doing with the Oyster House. But of course, this was a concept that was created as far as what's that footprint going to look like, what can we have for our master plan that's a concept, which would have been a pavilion, as you can see here, that looks very reminiscent of the existing Oyster House that's out there. Next slide, please. But there are some issues and concerns that have come up while we're working on this and working with Bay Design Group. Most notably, the Oyster House is going to require a lot of stakeholder input. Depending on those review times and being able to get that group together to meet, that could slow down the process. So we want to energize that group as soon as possible and get that rolling. Other things that we need to confirm feasibility with are most of the development of the structures are within what the RPA, or the Resource Protection Area, which means they're within the 100-foot setback from the water. I know that when we met with work groups developing the master plan, this was not an issue, but we still want to confirm that it's not a problem for us to be doing that.
Confirmed.
Check. Feedback that we received during the master planning process was the impact to the neighbors. So we did actually relocate the restroom building to minimize that visual impact across the water. However, there are other buffers that will be needed for the neighboring sites that are along that lane when you're coming in. And also the septic drain field, we need to do a little more investigation on that to make sure that that's going to work properly for the restroom building that's going out there. Next slide. So what's next for the Oyster House and for Carter Cove, excuse me, is we want to re-energize that working group and start to get some answers there. I know there were a lot of ideas that were formed in October, but we need to cull those down and make this happen. We also need to reconvene the stakeholder group that we met with during the master plan and just revisit everything that we've looked at as far as these buildings go. And of course, we'll continue working with Bay Design Group as they're developing the land and the site, because that really is the bulk of the work that's happening here. With that being said, depending on how much input and how much consensus we can achieve with the Oyster House Working Group, we still hope that we can get those construction drawings done for those structures by late summer. Again, that's part of the package, and Bay Design Group is on board as well for us to have a complete package of structures and site work by that time. Next slide. Taylor Creek Park, next slide, please. I will roll through these quickly, and then if y'all have questions, I'd be glad to answer them, or feel free to interrupt me. This is our approved master plan from October of '23. Next slide, please. These are the amenities improvements that we agreed upon with that approved master plan. Most notably, it's some walking trails. I believe the best way to summarize what we want to do with Taylor Creek was have a minimum impact on the land and let it be really something that's enjoyed for the nature. So outdoor engagement areas, walking trails and paths, perhaps a public beach area, canoe and kayak launch, and minor vehicle parking. The highlighted items, again, are what I want to talk about today, which are the restroom building. Again, just a small building that potentially has two single-use stalls and a small picnic shelter or scenic overlook. You can see the sizes there that were based on our cost estimate as well. Next slide. So again, you can see the approved master plan here, and there are some photographic examples of what we're thinking for the structures here. Next slide. So where we are in the process with this is we're working with Bay Design Group on those potential issues and concerns to get those resolved. We knew this when we were going through the master plan, which is there are some very steep grades that we need to deal with in order to achieve accessible use in this site. We need to do some further site assessment and meet with the team again to determine whether or not we're going to have 1 or 2 overlook structures, because that's going to drive what that structure ends up looking like. Is it going to be 1 larger structure, or is it going to be 2 smaller structures? The master plan currently has 2 smaller structures that we wanted to see on that site during the master plan process, but again, it's going to depend on the steep grades and how minimal of a touch that we want to have on that site. Next slide. So working with Bay Design Group, what are our next steps? We, again, need to meet with the group and just check on our plans, make sure we're still heading in the right direction with what we want to do there, and work with Bay Design Group and Land Planning and Design Group to determine where those shelters are going to be placed, because that could impact the size and the design of those as well. And then we'll design those, we'll take those structures and we'll review those with that work group that we had previously. This one, I think, because we do not have as much of public input that's needed on this one, I would say early summer completion on construction documents for those architectural drawings. Next slide, please. So moving on to Windmill Point, this one has been moving very quickly, I would say, compared to the other 2, as far as the work that Bay Design Group has done. They are churning through those construction documents, and we've been doing a lot of coordination with that. Next slide, please. To achieve what's happening here, we have 1 building and then 2, we have 2 different architectural components of this. One is that restroom building that you see in the center of the slide, and then there are 4 picnic shelters that are pretty modest in size that would be along the beach that would be a minimal visual impact, but would provide some shade structures for folks. Bay Design Group is doing a very large part of this, which is the fishing pier and that shoreline stabilization to create that beach, but we still need to work on that restroom building there. So what you will see here is during our master plan, we had looked at that restroom building and the orientation of it, as you can see there. The parking is what it is in order to maximize what we can get there as efficiently as possible. So next slide, please. Again, bathhouse and shelters are our architectural facilities. Next slide, please. Next slide. So what you see here is, in working with Bay Design Group, it has been determined that that building needs to rotate 90 degrees. I have been able to develop quite a bit of this without a whole lot of input from the work group, because we knew we wanted bathrooms and we knew where they needed to go, but what's really driving the program of that is what we can fit into that small footprint and still achieve everything else that we want to do on that site. So next slide, please. So as you can see, we have developed a rotated plan for that bathhouse. Next slide, please. And this is what it's starting to look like. The maximum that we can really get in there is 3 stalls for the men's room and 3 stalls for the women's room, with a small janitorial closet, which would involve, water heater, electrical panel, that kind of thing. And as you can see on the front there, we have a ramp and some steps. So some of the issues and concerns that we still have on the site, next slide, please. Oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. Some of the issues and concerns that we have on the site are, we were told that it would be best if we could, thank you, that's great. That shows exactly what I want to say. The fact that we are in the floodplain down there, in order to be achieving the freeboard above the floodplain, we would have to be 42 inches above grade, which for a very small building that we want to have minimal impact on that site would involve 42 feet of ramp. So we were told, let's go ahead and just put it down on the grade level that's there now for minimal buildup that we need to have on the site. We suggested a compromise of raising that 12 inches off the site. So what that results in is a pretty modest ramp that you see there, about 12 feet long, and then a couple of steps. So in working with Bay Design, they had suggested maybe since we rotated the building 90 degrees, we could orient this so that the men's entrance is on one side and the women's entrance is on the other. We're trying to minimize the impact to the site. So what I've done is I actually have them both on the same side of the site. But the other concern that comes up is if you look at that bottom left image there, the view from the rear, I know that we need to be very sensitive to the condo association and what their view shed looks like of this building. It's a very small building, but my suggestion was to orient the rear, which you see on the bottom left there, to the condo association side, so they're not seeing as many comings and goings and all the activity that's happening in the entrance to the bathroom. Next slide, please. And there is the rendering, next slide as well. We had a couple of images that we had presented during the master planning process because the condo association wanted us to illustrate what it would look like, their view of that back house. So that tiny little dot that you see in the center there is that restroom building, and that is, of course, rotated 90 degrees from where we are now. So next slide. The other structures, those picnic shelters, are other things that we're working on as well right now. But the issues and concerns that we have, the flood elevation I mentioned, the view from the condo association I mentioned. Bay Design Group has discovered there is a property line in the middle of the site. So we need to know, is there going to be a variance that needs to be pursued for that? Are we going to extinguish that boundary line? And Bay Design is looking into that. The other issue that we have concern about that is being dealt with right now is the geotechnical reports and analysis are being taken care of because due to the low-lying area on that site, we need to make sure we're not going to have anything special for that restroom building like pile foundations. So Bay Design Group has ordered that geotechnical report, is my understanding, and we should have the answers on that soon. So what's next with Windmill Point? Next slide, please. Is now that we've started to establish what can fit into that little footprint that we have, we just want to take a look at that with the rest of the group again and make sure we're heading in the right direction with that. But again, it's not going to have a whole lot of flexibility because of the size of it. That's why we've pushed it forward with Bay as best we can. But we do need some more information. You know, we need to make sure the condo association is still on board with what we want to do down there and make sure they understand what rotating that building looks like. And then, of course, some of the fun stuff starts to happen. Once we get that floor plan approved by the group, we need to look at interior and exterior finishes and really confirm what this building looks like. Does it look like what I have up here right now? And what are those selections? And then we'll get those and turn them into those construction documents. As you can see, this one is moving a lot faster right now, so I would say early summer completion on our construction documents for that one. And I think that's everything that I've got there. In summary, things are moving forward. We're the tip of the iceberg, so we're doing a lot of talking to Bay Design Group with what they're doing. My primary focus moving forward right now is we've got to get that Oyster House moving forward because the other buildings are minimal input that are required. They're just functional buildings that are restrooms, shelters, what have you. But we want to make sure that we're doing justice to that Oyster House heritage. Questions? Sorry, that was a lot.
Do we know where we stand on that stakeholder group?
No, I haven't gotten any input. I think we do need to call a meeting, you know.
Yeah.
Get back together.
We wouldn't want that kind of to hold up this project really. And
Pardon me?
I said we wouldn't really want that to hold up this project. I
Yeah.
think that we can formulate the details of the placards or the information that goes in the building as we kind of build it too.
Yeah, just a brief overview on that. When we had looked at the master plan back in October, it was an open pavilion that was going to have some interpretive displays and that kind of thing. When we had our work group in October as well, that stakeholder group, what they wanted to see was some more interpretive displays, possibly even some video equipment out there, which is a little bit challenging on its own. So we want to make sure we're getting feedback from everybody and making sure we can accommodate what it is they want to do.
If you end up putting artifacts and stuff out there, it becomes more a museum, and then you kind of have to have it sort of open, controlled, and have somebody down there have some kind of control. Otherwise, vandalism or other things would be likely to happen. And
exactly.
as far as like, I mean, with the technology we have today, you could have access to the Wharton videos through a QR code where those videos would be over on YouTube, but you could be there and you could bring up and watch the video and you'd have a placard there, but then you could have like a code you'd scan and go into more detail and watch the video or have additional content that would necessarily require you to have TVs and video equipment down there.
I think that's a great idea, and it's definitely something we will take into consideration when we meet with this group, because I know Supervisor Lee actually had some artifacts as well that I think that was one of the do-outs from our last meeting was people were going to start running down artifacts and talking to some folks who had some more information. There's some films that Joni Carter has that she wants to find a way to utilize in this space, and I think the QR code is a great way to do that, because since that time, I've done some research on how to do that video down there, and again, it's a vandalism situation. There's a lot to it. So anyway, again, that's really my primary focus right now, is within the next couple of weeks to reach out to Olivia, if Olivia is still heading up that group, and make sure we can get a group started and start getting that input, because there were a lot of different pieces and parts to it. Everything else is pretty simple, but that one is very complex.
Yeah, I think we also just need to keep that work group within because if you just let it kind of go out to be whatever it wants to be, that it can take forever and we never really get far.
Yeah,
So if you have a kind of a narrowed scope of what we really want in that building, or what we can really have, then I think that would drive the group to get the work that they need done quicker than just throwing out ideas and mulling anything, let the world be whatever it is.
Yeah,
So I think we can condense that down and move this forward.
sounds good.
We have a Northern Neck Watermen's Association, and if you're going to truly use artifacts, that might be a great resource. I jotted a number down for you, that this person can help you, I think, with anything you need.
Thank you. Oh, I recognize the Kellum name, because I believe Claudette Henderson was going to reach out to some Kellums as well. So thank you.
Yeah.
In addition to comments?
I got two things I want to ask. Is Tom really retired, or is he just on vacation?
He claims that he is retired. He is partially here, partially on vacation.
Okay.
I think he needed us to get used to him being retired, so he took some very long vacations for the next few weeks.
Okay. The second thing, on the approved master plan for Windmill Point, we need to get that fish and pier alignment corrected, because the final approved version goes out to the breakwater, but then it bends away from the pound net, the fishing net. So Bay Design has that.
Okay.
So we just need to get that corrected on the master plan.
Our illustrative plan. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want the pound net holder to think that we've gone back to that original.
Don, so
Understood.
Bay Design working on, I think she mentioned almost like it was a line, boundary line.
It's the line between the HOA property and the marina property. The bath facility is going to butt right up to that. My suggestion would be, instead of crossing that line, just be right up to it, and we can get the BZA to grant a variance for that.
For the setback.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we can get by that.
Am I correct that Windmill Point Marina has signed the deed?
Yes,
And what we're waiting on now is?
the HOA to.
As far as the marina itself, we're waiting for the release of the deed trust?
We're waiting for the title company to tell us they have everything they need to schedule closing.
Because we've asked them to go ahead and close.
Yes.
On the marina property, even if we're not ready yet to close on the
Correct.
HOA property. And I understand the HOA is circulating the document that needs to be signed by
Two-thirds.
of the owners. And that was in a week, works as of last week or week before.
Correct.
So where are we on that closing with Anzo?
As soon as.
Yeah, as soon as.
I think, the only thing I think is holding it up maybe is the release of the deed trust.
Well, it was a subordination.
Subordination of deed trust to our use.
Yeah, and
Supposed to be pushing that or managing
well,
that?
to my knowledge, everything has been submitted to the title company. We're waiting for the title company to say, closing is on such and such a date.
Can we try to get that
So,
resolved?
yeah, yeah.
Because if we can get that resolved, we can go ahead and start on that portion of the
I
project, correct?
think the board has indicated that as soon as we have the perpetual easement from the marina, we will sign the contract to begin.
Yeah. And Olivia has reached out to the Army Corps of Engineers seeking a waiver from the time of year restriction for the Tiger Beetle. And we haven't got it signed yet, but all of the correspondence that we've gotten from Army Corps leads us to believe that they will grant that waiver.
So I'm hoping we'll have it done by the end of April.
So by the April meeting, let's have it done, and let's have the groundbreaking scheduled before the April meeting.
That would technically be a sand, like.
Yeah.
Any other questions for me?
And Olivia just texted me, she's at a conference, and she said that she'll set that meeting up with the stakeholders as soon as she gets back.
Great.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you, Olivia.
And Lydia's not retired, she's just,
And no, Tom can't retire until these projects are done, so,
yeah, you never
can
answered
just-
the question. That was-
Believe me,
Just went around in a
architects
circle.
do not retire.
just
So
fade
he's
away,
still
right?
around.
He's got a vested interest in Lancaster County.
He
so
does, he
He,
does. Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you.
We'll track him down.
we know where he lives.
We next presentation is school construction and activity updates. Mrs. Davis and Mr. Pittman, all right?
All right, just got a few quick slides to go through to show you where we are with the project of the new school. This is sort of a odd rendering. This isn't one we use a lot, showing off the new school, but it does lay out as far as the site plans. So it just kind of gives you an idea. I wanted to queue up this drawing first as we go through the site plan drawings. I'm going to the next. So it's hard to navigate through these, and it's probably really hard to see, but these were three different sheets in the set of drawings that we have, and we pieced them together. You can kind of see Route 200 on the top of that page, Old St. John's on the left, and the service road going into Northern Neck Mechanical on the right-hand side. There's three main BMPs on the site right now. The first one I think we'll highlight the next time you click. Yeah, so that blue area is the one that everybody's been calling about past few weeks when we get a lot of rain. And it's doing what it's supposed to do. So, we're, as bad as it may seem from Route 200, I got a call from Mr. Geezy a few weeks ago saying, Travis.
It's
And
about
I know,
a foot
Greg, I
from the
know
top.
it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. But I just wanted to highlight where these BMPs, why they're there and what they're doing, and this is all, part of the process. So that first one is certainly one of the main ones, and you can click through the next few slides, I think. That's where that water eventually runs into. I believe the next slide will show the structure that's in place. I'm glad Olivia's listening because this was very important to her, and we were able to get this structure in place a few weeks ago. That was not in place when we had that big rain event a few weeks ago, and that was part of the issue. Now the structure's in place. You shouldn't see the water. It's kind of hard to see in the picture, but in the center of that structure, there's a drain, and the water should never really get any higher than that drain. That structure will stay there for the remainder of the project.
Is that called Lake Travis now?
No, it's not a lake. It's not a lake. It's BMP.
Any fish?
No, I hope not. Yeah, I hope not. But this shows where the drain is taking place, and the guys are putting in protective measures there to, we're trying to keep that water as clean as we can as it does go into the pond that's on the site. And so just wanted to highlight the fact that, these measures are being put in place and
Where is the ultimate outfall of this land? What creek does it ultimately drain to?
Diamond Creek. That's where it eventually, it actually ties into the pond that's over at the Golden Eagle. That pond ties into that pond, and then the Golden Eagle pond eventually falls into Diamond Creek. You can get to the next slide, Don. And I believe the next one's just the second BMP that's on the site that they're currently working on, and it shows where that water falls. And this one's more of a temporary BMP. The structure's just there temporarily as they're working on the building. This particular one will go away as they work throughout the site. So, and I think the next one just shows how it drains. And you can click through that. I think, yeah, this shows that temporary drain structure on the site. I believe that the grade that you see on the left-hand side of that's pretty much the grade that'll be the final grade for the site. It's at 75 feet. So it kind of gives you an indication as you look through that picture of how much dirt still yet to move as we go through the project. Go to the next slide. this just shows where it's in relation to the other drain coming in on the other side. And the final BMP that's being put in place, they're still working on this one. So click through this. It just shows how that drains into the ties into the other one. All this is in an effort to, control the stormwater as we're working through the project. And there's no better indication when you ride by today, that pond doesn't look like it did a couple weeks ago. So they're starting to manage the water on the site. This gives you an idea what that looks like right now. This slide was taken January 1st, before any site work had been done. And then I believe the next slide's in February. Just give you a quick idea how they were working on that BMP, getting that in place. And then the final slide was taken yesterday before we got all the rain. And you can see all three of those ponds and how they relate to the property. It's important to know, I think, for you guys, that the site's sort of dirt neutral, if that's a term. That our hope would be that, we don't need to truck in any dirt. A lot of dirt doesn't need to be trucked off. We're trying to use, everything we have there on site to get to the final grade. But that gives you a good idea about sort of where we are. This, I think, is one of my final slides. This just gives you an idea in April, when I come back, at how this is starting to develop. This is the second phase of the site plan, and you can start to see the parking lot develop in this, the drainage that will be put in place on site. And I don't know if there's anything else that's really highlighted on that. You can start to see where the actual building will sit, if you can kind of imagine that big white rectangle in the middle of the screen there, where those three drawings sort of come together. That's where the building will sit. And that BMP that's down close to the pond eventually will go away, but not till a later phase in the project. So there's a 4-phase site plan, and Site 2 will probably be in that for a while until we move through the project. Any questions, Fred?
When do you anticipate them actually starting on the building?
I'm guessing May, June. The weather's going to be, impacting that. But the first thing you'll see go in, Jason, is sort of the backbone of the building. It's a concrete wall that'll go in. And once that's in place, you'll be a lot of concrete poured over the summer. And I would imagine the steel package is soon after that, so sometime in the fall. We haven't really gotten into a phasing plan as far as the construction yet. We had a real good meeting with Brett and Mr. Zoll today. The fire department came, had some real good questions and concerns, and the builders were there, and it was a very good meeting, and I appreciate their time doing that.
Are we on, I know it's early, but are we on schedule? Has the rain slowed us down a bit?
If you were to ask those guys, they'd say they're behind. I think we're right where they need to be. I mean, there's some things that still haven't, some submittals and stuff like that. So we're in line. We're not behind by any means. Branch would love to finish this thing. They're pushing. So they're going to be pushing through this project, and they don't want to be here any longer than they have to be.
Well, the pond, the watercolor in the pond was a lot different from the first picture to the last picture.
Yeah, it is.
That will clear up.
And it's important to know, I mean, those BMPs that are in place, that's to trap the sediment. So as water's going into that pond, yes, it's murky, but it's not getting filled up with a lot of silt. And that's an important piece to.
But I guess people see that and they freak out.
Yeah, it's you're quick to ride by and think, the pond's filling up with sand. And I'm sure there's some more sand in it than there was a few months ago. I don't want to.
Well, no different than our creeks and what they look like after heavy rain.
Right.
That's a man-made pond from the golf course.
It is. It is. But that pond actually saved the county a lot of money. If that pond hadn't been in place, we would have had some, to put something in place. So that pond saved Lancaster County a lot of money.
And it's also going to help with fire protection too, given the fact that that's close water source.
All right. Any additional questions, gentlemen?
Just appreciate all your work.
Yep, thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right. All right. Now we're getting ready to go into the public hearing session. We got 2 of those. Mr. Gill?
Actually, the first one deals with proposed amendments to the Lancaster County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 26, dealing with their noise ordinance, Sections 2686 through 2688. And I believe Olivia is online. And Olivia, can you hear me? I'm going to turn it over to you. Can you hear me, Olivia?
She retired.
She's at a conference, and she told me she was going to Zoom in. But, okay. Well, I'll introduce it, and if she jumps in, she can jump in. You know, we had some county residents come to the Board of Supervisors, I guess, close to a year ago now, bringing up the idea of strengthening our noise ordinance, making some amendments to it. The Board of Supervisors directed the Planning Commission to take that under advisement and then, make recommendations to the board. The Planning Commission considered this at 8 different meetings that they had. And if you read those minutes that were in the package, you could see it was a lot of back and forth. Basically, you can go 2 ways with a noise ordinance. You can either be very specific to the point where you have law enforcement and county staff with decibel meters that have to go out and record, decibel readings to determine if there's a violation of the ordinance. Or you can be more generic, less strict, which is the path that the Planning Commission has recommended with the revisions to our noise ordinance. We have bumped up the fines that are in place, and the reason there was and Mr. Cornwell can help me with this, there was a case in Virginia Beach a few years ago that struck down. Yes, Olivia, you there?
I'm so sorry, I had technical difficulties.
Have you heard my introduction so far?
I missed it. I had to restart it.
Okay, well, why don't you jump in, because you were involved with this. I've told the board and the public that the Planning Commission discussed this at 8 different meetings, and decided not to go the very specific route of, having law enforcement and county staff carry decibel meters, and more of the less strict route based on the Virginia Beach ruling. And so I'll stop there and let you pick it up.
Okay, so we did a lot of research with Planning Commission members, specifically Steve Sorensen, and the Assistant County Attorney, Tara McGee, with Chesterfield County, had written an opinion on it called Composing a Noise Ordinance in Tune with the Current Law. And she basically divided it into 2 categories, which you could either go the route of decibel readers, or you could go the route of kind of defining distance or the duration of noise. And so we ended up going with the second option. The Planning Commission was not a fan of the decibel readers, although Mr. Chuck did like decibel readers. The majority of the Planning Commission did not. So the amendments that you have drafted before you are accommodating their research and requests. We consulted with County Attorney Jim Cornwell as well in regards to the civil penalties. One thing that the Tanner decision mentioned when it was written, that opinion piece was written by Ms. McGee at the time. The Code of Virginia didn't allow for civil penalties with noise ordinances, but it does now. And Jim had guided us through that process. And with that knowledge and with Steve Sorensen's input, we came up with adding the penalty and enforcement section that you see in the code. We also added some exemptions as well. And we raised the fine from $25 to $100.
Can I comment, Mr. Chairman?
You all have any questions?
Yes.
and my wife always likes to say Lancaster County is country, and it is. The density of Lancaster County is not very great as far as, but there are areas in the county, subdivisions in particular, where people live in close proximity. I recall a time when a group of citizens wanted a 16-page noise ordinance, and which would prohibit watermen from going out at 6 o'clock in the morning to work their pots. That did not get very much traction in the county appropriately. Also, I'm aware of other jurisdictions. I know we had this problem in Floyd of cows mooing and the complaints relating thereto, as well as other issues. I think what the Planning Commission has tried to do is to work with the way Lancaster County is, and created a noise ordinance which would protect persons from having noise at such a volume that it disturbs them within their house. And that's what paragraph 1 says. So enforcement, the deputy's going to have to come and look and go in the house and see if they can hear it. And I think that, that would be the penalty. Then they also did a second paragraph about specific noises, automobiles, motorcycles, three-wheeled or four-wheeled motorbikes, barking dogs, and other noises, and they made a time for those enforcement activities. Is this a perfect ordinance? No. Are there any noise? No. But I think the Planning Commission took a lot of time, looked at a lot of documents, looked at a lot of ordinances from across the state, and I think this is a good ordinance given the nature of Lancaster County.
Okay, thank you. And what I've seen and what I've read and so on, I'm pleased with what they've done. Any other comments before I open it up for public hearing?
Move on.
All right. We're getting ready to open up the floor now to a public hearing, and again, you have 3 minutes to speak. At the end of 2 minutes, I will hold up my sign letting you know you have 1 minute left. For online speakers, at the end of 2 minutes, I will say something to you that you have 1 minute left. Please, you have 3 minutes. You can say a lot, so just go ahead and get to the point, say what you got to say. All right. Floor is now open for public comments. Anybody in the audience? Anybody online? Floor is now closed to public comments.
I move that we adopt the ordinance as presented.
All right, you've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, that's a consensus there. All right, motion adopted, or the ordinance adopted. Next one is Mr. Gill.
Mr. Chairman, your next public hearing deals with the proposed FY25 public school budget. Tonight, you will take public comment on that proposed budget. State code requires that you wait at least 7 days after the public hearing before taking any action on the proposed budget. You have previously scheduled Thursday, April the 11th at 7 p.m. as the date and time that you will adopt a school budget. You have the attached synopsis in your package of the proposed FY25 budget that was adopted by the school board at its, I believe, March 11th meeting. It includes a 7% raise for all full-time employees. It results in a local funding increase of $2,258,944 under general operating, plus an additional $21,933 under textbooks, for a total local increase of $2,280,877 over the adopted local funding in the FY24 school budget. There is an overall $2,324,815 increase from the adopted FY24 budget when you take into account state and federal funding as well. This issue has been advertised as required by law, and to date, I have had no input from the public.
Okay. Any questions, comments before opening this up for public comment? Okay, at this particular time, the floor is open for public comment. Any comments from the audience? Any comments online? Anybody online?
Somebody call and check on Charlie.
Nobody on? All right, nobody online, okay. It's closed. Oh, got one?
You close.
Right, okay.
You close.
I'll let him come in. I'll let him come in. All right.
Okay, Jason.
Right on cue.
Charlie, we were worried about
Down
you.
you go. No, this is important. Don, how many cents does this mean for the rate, tax rate? About, how much is each, what is it, 400,000 or?
Well, it's 382,000 and change with the new assessment. Now, that could vary a little bit based on what
Sure.
the Board of Equalization does. Let me see.
8 cents?
Let's see, that's,
He's doing the math, Tony.
yeah.
5 or 6?
Yeah, well, it's less than 8 cents because 8 cents is over 3 million.
Yeah, so it's probably about 5 cents, which is not bad at all,
Let me see.
considering where you're going. But I think it's a good idea, and I appreciate it. And y'all are doing well. I do like this virtual, though, and you can hear more. Thank you. Have a good evening, friends.
Thank you. All right.
6 cents under the
6
new
cents.
assessment.
All right. Nobody else? All right, now closed. All right. All right, consensus docket?
I move for the approval of the consensus docket.
All right, you've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, consensus docket approved
I
unanimously.
have a quick question regarding that. We did have the letter for VDOT in there. Y'all attended the public hearing. Was there anything that was added there that was pertinent to, that they didn't discuss here?
The only thing I thought that, and I know it's in the resolution here, but they did say they had already agreed to.
To the
keep
height,
of the
yeah.
bridge.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That came out.
I was
Yeah.
proud to hear that. They started off with that comment.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, I mean, basically what they said was, you know, we're in the very early stages, and they're just putting out what the minimum standards are, and that, you know, we can design above that, so we'll.
Right. And they, and what they did say is they're looking like from 12 years from now, they could probably start the process of construction. But if they're applying for a grant, if they get it, they could start
That would speed it
earlier.
up, yeah.
Yeah, so.
I remember the shoulder being at 4 feet.
Minimum.
That's a minimum.
Minimum, yeah, but it would be nice if it was the width of a vehicle.
And
They got a lot of comments.
yep,
Okay.
to that effect, yeah,
I should have been there, right?
yeah.
You right, you all right. You
I
go
will
help
move for approval
them.
of the invoices in the total amount of $2,605,610.94, of which payroll was $424,672.92, for a total of $3,030,283.86. Capital improvements were $1,811,316.80, and ARPA funds of $53,680.58.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Unanimous. Passed. All right, that's salaries, okay. Resolutions and adoptions. Mr. Smith.
Thank you. So Matthew Smith couldn't be here tonight, so he asked me to briefly bring you up to date with the emergency operation plan. And I just want to say he's done a super job in putting this together. So the Code of Virginia 44-146.19.e requires that we adopt this every 5 years.
Yes.
And we're behind schedule, so it's important that we adopt this tonight. He wanted me to share that there really are no major changes, other than maybe some changes of names, and then it also includes the new school, and then just some other things. I guess what I'm asking you guys is don't ask me any questions about this. And I just want to say I am Director of Emergency Management, and that's why I'm doing this, but don't ask me any questions about it. But I will read the resolution. The resolution for emergency operation plan. Whereas the Board of Supervisors of County of Lancaster, Virginia recognizes the need to prepare for, respond to, and recover from natural and man-made disasters. And whereas the Code of Virginia 44-146.19 requires each local jurisdiction and interjurisdictional agencies to prepare and keep current local emergency operations plans. And whereas the Code of Virginia 44-146-19 requires each local jurisdiction to conduct a comprehensive review and revision of its emergency operations plan. And whereas the County of Lancaster has a responsibility to provide for the safety and well-being of its citizens and visitors. And whereas the County of Lancaster has established and appointed a director and coordinator of emergency management. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Lancaster, this emergency operations plan as revised is officially adopted, and be it further resolved and ordered that the Director of Emergency Management or designee is tasked and authorized to maintain and revise as necessary this document during the next 4-year period or until such time to be ordered to come before this board.
All right, you've heard the resolution. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous vote. Resolution approved. All right, Mr. Gill?
I'll say that Matt is online, but he did not raise his hand to speak, so that must mean you did a good job, Bill.
I've already talked to him about this. It's part of my plan.
I was hoping you had a question for me.
Mr. Chairman, the next consideration item is the approval of the estimate that we got from Guernsey Tingle, and I see Kristen has hung around, although this came from Amanda Running, who is the public safety person at Guernsey Tingle. You remembered that from several months ago, you asked us to revisit the idea of the EMS building beside the courthouse, but looking at that and maybe joining that with a sheriff's office administration in a combined building, and have Guernsey Tingle look at other options with the existing sheriff's office renovations to expand the dispatch office. So they have, we've met with them, we met with Jeffrey and I, and the sheriff met with Amanda a couple different times, and Guernsey Tingle has given us the proposal that you have in your package to do this work for a flat fee of $68,200.
Any questions, gentlemen? I'll obtain a motion.
So moved.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that's
There you
a
go.
vote, unanimous vote, passed. All right, number 4, consideration of setting a public hearing for the zoning of ordinance and amendments to Articles 1, 4, 5, 6A, and 7, and 18. Mr. Gill?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you'll remember that back in September of last year, you all adopted the short-term rental regulation ordinance, Article 29, which requires a special exception for unhosted short-term rentals. You know, we talked about at that time that we would need to amend the zoning districts where these unhosted short-term rentals would be permitted. The Planning Commission had already done that work, researched that when they were crafting the short-term rental ordinance, and they have previously held a public hearing and forwarded the proposed amendments to the Article 1, which is definitions, Article 4, which is our A2 district, Article 5, which is our R1 district, Article 6A, which is our R4 district, and Article 7, which is our R3 district, and Article 18, which is our waterfront residential overlay district. I know Mr. Bellows has had some calls from folks asking about when we were going to do this. The thought was that there may be a lot of special exception applications filed at one time, and it would be, you know, take a lot of time to get them through the board because you can only handle so many, you know, public hearings at each meeting. So, you know, we've gotten, I guess, the bulk of the first part of the budget process over, and so I'm asking when you'd like to hold a public hearing on these amendments to the zoning districts. And if you are in agreement that these zoning districts are where you would like for these unhosted short-term rentals to be allowed, you'll see in the document, in most of the articles, we would be adding a short-term rental hosted as a permitted use and a short-term rental unhosted with a special exception. So just trying to get some direction from you when you would like to hold that public hearing. Once you adopt these amendments, we're probably going to have quite a few special exception applications coming in.
Could I comment too, Mr. Chairman? The General Assembly, in its wisdom, has passed a statute, and I'll just read it. Notwithstanding any other provision of law, general or special, no local ordinance enacted after December 31st, 2023 shall require that a special exception, special use, or conditional use permit be obtained for the use of a residential dwelling as a short-term rental, where the dwelling unit is also legally occupied by the property owner as his primary residence.
Okay.
I think what the governor's not signed it. He has until April 8th to sign it. Probably we're going to have to look at our definition of short-term rental hosted to put this language in there, because we presently have the 185-day requirement and those things, and we probably are going to have to just simply take this language and stick it into place. This ordinance does not require a special use permit for what we deem unhosted, for hosted,
right,
and would therefore comply with this statute. But I think the definition is going to need to be changed.
Yeah.
And we also, since we adopted it but withheld operation, we probably need to also have a public hearing to amend it and make it effective.
Okay.
In addition to the ordinance of the different zones.
I would suggest we just keep the ball moving and set the public hearing for April. It doesn't mean we have to take action at the April meeting directly after the public hearing. But there needs to be more tweaking, or we need a little bit more time to get that final stuff done. We can take in the public comment and then continue writing an adjustment before we try to get.
I would suggest if we do that, we have a public hearing to change the districts as provided, but also to amend the ordinance that we previously adopted to change the definition of hosted.
And hopefully by then we'll have, the governor will act.
Yeah.
And make the ordinance effective.
We can probably do that in May perhaps.
The only thing I'm just wondering, Jason, is a need to do it in April. Why May wouldn't be, because that definitely would give us enough time.
Yeah.
I mean, why would we need to do it at the April meeting?
I would just say just to keep the ball moving, and we have the public hearing whenever, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I just think about the changes might come up, and getting all that done.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on it, Don?
After listening to what Jim said, I think we should probably maybe wait until the governor signs it. Then we'll know exactly.
Well, it'll be signed April, he has until April 8th.
April 8th. Well, then I don't guess, I guess April would be okay. You will have your budget public hearing, the overall budget public hearing at your April 25th meeting. So
maybe May's better.
Let's set it for May.
Yeah.
I'll work with Olivia to get it smoothed out.
Yeah, and the people will know that we're, why we're doing what we're doing, why we delayed.
yeah.
The governor's upset that we lost the Capitals and the Wizards, so he may not sign anything.
All right.
I'm upset too.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna say May. All right.
So we're going to amend the ordinance that we
Yeah.
previously adopted as well as adopt the
Yeah.
districts.
At the May meeting.
I move that we set the public hearing for this at our May meeting.
All right, you've heard the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous vote. All right, May meeting. Okay, board reports. Any board reports?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to reappoint Tyrone Davis to the Building Codes Appeals Board.
All right, you've heard that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, approved.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to appoint Sandy Ball as the District 1 representative to the Social Services Board.
All right, you've heard that one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, appointed. Okay. Any other board reports? County Administration report.
I had a few things, but they've already been hit on during the discussion, one of which was going to update on the Windmill Point. But the Board of Equalization held 5 meetings in March, and they've also scheduled 3 meetings in April. And Crystal, what are those dates? I can't remember. 17th, 23rd, and 25th, if necessary. So they had 5 full meetings during the month of March, and so that's well underway. I think that's all I have right now.
Will we get a report of what their actions are after the fact?
Yeah,
How does it work?
yeah.
How many there were and like what the changes were?
Mhm.
All right. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right, if nothing else, gentlemen, I would adjourn this meeting until April the 11th
Yeah.
at 5 p.m.
At 5 o'clock for a work session and at 7 o'clock for adoption of a school budget.
All right. Again, recess.